Hello and welcome to SudoKanard. We're here to solve this Thermo Sudoku by some South Korean author. At the time I'm doing this video, I still don't know which author provided which puzzle. So it was featured in round 6 of Sudoku Grand Prix of 2022. And when I took part in the contest, I just broke the puzzle like I usually do. So the rule of Thermo Sudoku is that whenever you have such a thermometer, the digits just increase in a strict sense along the thermo. So where do you start on this kind of puzzle? Well, you look for the longest thermometer. So this one has a length 7. So this is a minimum of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then you look at the maximum. Maximum here is 9. Here the maximum is 7 because 8 here prevents you from having digit 8. So the maximum is 7, maximum is 6, 5, 4. Here the maximum is not 3 because there's a 3 in the row, so that's a 2, that's a 1. Sorry about that. Here the minimum is 4, the minimum is 5, the minimum is 6, the minimum is 7, and because 8 is not available, the minimum is 9, so this is 9. And this can only be a 7, this can only be a 6, and a 5, and a 4. And this 6 makes this a 5, that's a 4, and that's a 3. And because of this 7, this is a 6, and that's not a 9. So that's kind of easy beginning for this puzzle. Here, noticing all digits from 4 to 6, those have to be from 1 to 3, but because of this 3, that's not 3. And 5 must be somewhere in here. And 4 can be in any of those 3 positions. What else can be done? We need 1, 2, 3, 8 in here. So there's a 3 somewhere in here. Where else can I look? This is a big digit. That's not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but that's the 5th digit on this thermo, so it had to be a big digit anyway. So 7 and 8 are not here, not so interesting. Those must be from 1, 2, 3, 9, so this is 2, 3, or 9, this is 1, 2, or 9. What is the next place to look? This cell looks interesting because we have here a minimum of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 along this thermo. So this is a minimum of 5, and we already have 3 big digits in here. So this is either 5 or 9, only 2 candidates available. That's not a 9, so it could be 1, 2, 3, 5, that's not so interesting. But then this has a lot of candidates, and so is this one. Except that it's not actually, because here that's a maximum of 8. So let's just write that's ugly, but that's for the sake of explanation. So that should be a maximum of 7, but 7 and 6 are not available, so it's maximum of 5 actually. So 3, 4, or 5. So that's a maximum of 4, but 4 is not available. So that's 2 or 3, and that can only be 1 or 2. And here we have a 1, 2, 3 triple. So 1 is in one of those 2 cells, and the remaining 3 cells in the row are 7, 8, and 9. Right. Not sure what else to do. This has a lot of options. And is there anything I can do? Not sure what. This 1 or 2 is interesting regarding this thermo, because if I put a 1 here, then 2 is not available because 1 here would make this a 2. So 2 would not be available. So the minimum here is 3, and then 4, 5, and 6. So that's a lot of options for this. And what else can we see? We see that the maximum value here is 9, 8, 7, but 7 here wouldn't work because 7 would force those to be 8 and 9, and that would break this cell. So that's a maximum of 6 actually. And that can't be a maximum of 5 because of this, so that's 3 or 4, and that's 1, 2, or 3. But those still have really many options, and I don't think it's wise to pencil mark all of them. What about this? Well, the interesting part is that here the maximum value is 9, here that's 8, here that's 7, and here that's 6. Well, that's not so interesting actually. And not 5 because of this, so the maximum value is 4. That's really not so interesting. Oh, but that's interesting. The 3 here and the 3 there tell us that 3 has to appear somewhere in here. But we're on the 4th cell of a thermo, so 3 is not possible. And there's a 3 here that makes this a 2 and this a 1. And that's not 1. 1 is actually here in this box. And now this 3 also rules this 3 out of this cell. And knowing that this is at least 4, this has to be at least 5, and this has to be at least 6, so this can only be a 9. And we get a 7, 8 pair in here, so that's a 9, and that's a 2, and that's a 3. And here we get a 7, 8 trip. 7, 8 pair, sorry about that. This 2 makes this a 1, this a 3, and this here is 4 or 5. And here we have digits from 2, 4, or 5, but this is not 5. And that now can't be 7 or 8. And we know that we must have a 3 somewhere in here, and a 6 as well. So this 3 here gives us some progress. What is the next step? What are the minimum values along this thermal? That's a minimum of 1, 2 is not available, so that's minimum 3, 4 is not available, so 5 and 6 are not available, so that's a minimum of 7. So the only way is to have 7, 8, and 9 in here. And the remaining cells must contain a 3, but 3 is not available here, so that must be a 3, and that can only be a 1. Here we need a 5 and a 9, but there's a 5 here. And this, here we have 4, 6, 7, and 8, and I don't see anything to decide on them. In here we need 2, 4, 6, and 5. But 5 is not in here, and 2 is not in here. Alright, not seeing anything more. Here, let's recall, we need 1, 2, 3, and 8. So that's 1, 2, or 3, that's 2, 3, or 8. That's 1, 2, or 8. 3 is around here. So what is the next place to look? This thermal doesn't look too promising, but I think it should be the key at some point. Perhaps this row, we need 2, 3, 4, 6, 8. 2, 3, so 4, 6, or 8 in here. This 8 is interesting because 8 is not in here, and it couldn't be here or there along the thermal, because 8 in here would require at least 9, at least 10 in here. That wouldn't work. So 8 is in one of two positions. So 6, would 6 work here? 6, 7, 8, 9. It seems to work. This 5 is interesting because there should be a 5 somewhere in here, but 5 here will need 4, 3, and 2. That wouldn't work. So 5 is in one of those. So the remaining values are 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's 6, 7, or 8. Don't have anything about digit 4. That's really difficult. So that's minimum 1, 2. That can't be a 3, so minimum 4. But actually, would 2 and 4 work in here? If I try to make 1, 2, 4, the minimum values, then that's 3, and there's no option for this cell. So 4 here is too low. It must be at least 5, at least 6, at least 7. So there are only 3 options in here. And now, oh, that's something I could have spotted earlier because of this 9. 9 must be here in this box. And somewhere in here. Now, so now, on this box, in this box, 9 can't be here because of this 9. And it can only be here on the thermo. So that's a 9, that's not 9. And this can't be 8 anymore, this can't be 7. And because of this 5 or 6 and this 5 or 6, we get a 5-6 pair. And this is 4, this is 5. And because of this 4, this can't be 4, and it can't be 6 because of the 5-6 pair, so that's 8. I can remove this option in here. And now this can't be a 5 anymore because of the 5-6 pair, so 5 is here. And here we need a 1, it can only be here. This set can only have a 7. So that's a 6, that's a 5, that's a 6 down there. This 7 makes this 8, and this 6, we can remove, oh, this can't be a 5 either, so that's a 4, and that's a 5, and this 4 and this 5 make this a 6. This must be between 6 and 9 without being 7, so that's 8. No 8 here. On this column, 8 must be here. This can only be a 2 now, and this can only be a 6. So huge progress all of a sudden. This row needs a 6, can only be here. That's 2, 3, or 4. And that's 1 or 2 only. This row needs a 4 and a 7. In here I need 1, 7, and 9. So this is 1 or 7. This is 7 or 9, and I still have 3 options in here. Except that we have a 1, 2, 3 triple here, so this can't be a 1, and 1 is here. 1 is not here. And actually, this one could have told me so much earlier. On this row, 4 is in here, so that's a 7, that's a 4, that's a 2, that's a 4. And here I need a 3 and a 5, so 3 is here, 5 is here. That can't be an 8 anymore, that can't be a 7. 3 here, so that's not 3, and this can only be 2 or 4, and the same is true of this. Oh, but actually, because of the thermo, that has to be a 4. That's a 2, 3, 4, 2, 3 here. Because of this 2, this has to be a 1 on the thermo, and that's a 2, that's a 1. Here we need 7, 8, and 4. This can only be a 7. This ambiguates the digits at the bottom. That's a 4, that's an 8. Here we need 6 and 7. This ambiguates this, and we get the 9 here and the 2 there. And that's it. So that was really tricky to begin. And there were a few deductions that were somewhat hidden, but then once you found this 9 and this, and I don't remember what, the puzzle just bursts open. And the 68 points were certainly a fair assessment of the difficulty of this puzzle. I just wish I had solved it instead of broken it. Yes, that's correct, I hope. See you soon on SudoKanard.